Listen, begin to bless the name of the Lord. Bless his name. Bless his name. Lift his name higher. Higher. You're the beautiful one. We lift your name. Yeah, how we love you. How we lift your name. Jesus, you're the beautiful one. We lift your name. How we lift your gather in your church, in your house, to listen to your word. We ask that you cause the light that is in your word to shine in our hearts tonight. Manifest yourself like never before in this place. Honor us with your presence. Let our hearts become good grounds for your word. Thank you, Abba Father. In Jesus' name we pray. Glory to God. Amen. Praise God. Hallelujah. All right. Amen. Glory to God. Good. So welcome to Bible Masterclass. Is your mic working? All right. If the mic is not working, let's have a handheld mic. Is it on? It's on. Okay, we'll get it. Luke 22. Luke 22, verse 1 to 34. We'll split the book of Luke 22 into two because it's a very long, there are like 71 verses there. So we won't be able to study all 71 verses tonight. So we'll just look at the first 34 verses. Then next week we'll look at the other 36 or 37 verses. Okay, so someone here will read. So how do we split that? I think we split in such a way that it's easy to read. If we split that into 3, that would be like 11 by 11 each. So, okay, so let's have someone here read. So we'll read for us here. Okay, Dr. Cornelius, right? So Dr. Cornelius, please read the first 11 verses. That's Dr. Cornelius. Just stand by him. You should know everybody in this church. You should know people by their names. Dr. Cornelius, he hosts, right? Ohonsi. Well, I know Dr. C. He will read the first 11 verses. Then I'll get someone else. My friend, look at me. You're looking into your Bible, your phone. My friend. Aha. Rosio. Yeah, Rosio. So you read the next. He's a Bible scholar, by the way, and a Bible scholar, and also it's an IT, one of the top IT people in this country. You don't know people that sit in this church. Just see them just quiet, but they are powerful people. But I'll expose them one after the other. That's in real. He's not a doctor, but a doctor of something else. So then you read the last 12. So let's go.
Now the feast of unleavened bread drew near, which is called the Passover. Priests and scribes sought how they might kill him, for they feared the people. Then entered Satan into Judas, son named Iscariot, being of the number of the 12. And he went his way and communed with the chief priests and captains, how he might betray him unto them. And they were glad and covenanted to give him money. And he promised and sought opportunity to betray him unto them in the absence of the multitude. Then came the day of unleavened bread, when the Passover must be killed. And he sent Peter and John, saying, Go and prepare the Passover, that we may eat. And they said unto him, Wherewith that thou wilt prepare? And he said unto them, Behold, when ye enter into the city, there shall be a man meet you, bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him to the house where he entereth into. And he shall say unto the good man of the house, The master saith unto thee, Where is the guest chamber, where I shall eat the Passover with my disciples?
Okay, verse 12. And it shall show you a large upper room furnished. There make ready. And they went and found as he had said unto them, and they made ready for the Passover. 14. And when the hour was come, he sat down and the 12 apostles with him, and said unto them, With desire I have desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. For I say unto you, I will not any more eat thereof until it be fulfilled in the kingdom of God. He took the cup and gave thanks, and said, Take this, and divide it among yourselves. For I say unto you, I will not drink of the fruits of the vine until the kingdom of God shall come. He took the bread, and gave thanks, and broke it, and saying, This is my body which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me. Likewise also the cup after supper, saying, This cup is the New Testament in my blood, which is shed for you. Behold, the hand of him that betrayed me is with me on the table. And truly the Son of Man goeth, as it was determined, but woe unto that man by whom he is betrayed.
Verse 23. And they began to inquire among themselves which of them it was that should do this thing. And there was also strife among them, which of them should be accounted the greatest. And he said unto them, The king of the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and they that exercise authority upon them are called benefactors. But ye shall not be so. But he that is greatest among you, let him be as the younger, and he that is chief as he that doth serve. For whether is greater, he that sitteth at meat, or he that serveth? Is not he that sitteth at meat, but I am among you as he that serveth. Here are they which have continued with me in my temptations, And I appoint unto you a kingdom, as my Father appointed unto me, that you may eat and drink at my table in my kingdom, and sit on thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan hath desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not. When thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren. And he said unto him, Lord, I'm ready to go with thee, both into prison and to death. And he said, I tell you, Peter, the cock shall not crow this day before thou art thrice deny that thou knowest me.
May the Lord bless the reading of his word. Praise God. All right, so I'll just take one comment from here and one from here. So your slot is gone. Ella is taking it. Can I have a mic for Ella?
Praise God. The first thing I saw there, looking at the first few verses, said there that they were preparing for Passover. Passover was coming, but the chief priests that were supposed to, the Passover was like the thanksgiving of how God delivered them from Israel and all.
From Egypt.
From Egypt. And then you think that the chief priest should be thinking that should be their priority at this point in time, Thanksgiving, like, look what the Lord has done for us. But then they were thinking of how to kill a man. So I was just wondering how people could miss, as in chief priests, the people that are supposed to be guarding the temple and all. And then it just dawned on me that their priorities were not straightforward, were not correct at all. And then that pointed out to me the fact that your priorities and what you desire would set, as it would determine the power that will go to work for you. Because the very next verse says, and Satan entered Judas to fulfill their desires. Because even the same thing happened with Jesus when we read down. You see that he desired to have a meal with his disciples. And that man having the house ready, having a guest chamber ready for him, it just showed that forces went to play to get that to work out for his good.
Although it's not in my notes, I have a lot of things written here in my notes, but when we're reading, I just saw the guest chamber thing, and I was like, wow, it's important that you have a big space in your house where Jesus can have a party. So do we have room enough for Jesus if he wants to come with his friends? Because at times when God bless us with some things, because I think that guy was very rich. I think for him to have a room in his house, a guest chamber, so it's a place prepared in case somebody comes to town. And it's not something they use. You don't use your guest room. It's something that is just reserved for special guests. So Jesus knew of his disciples, so he knew that this guy had this house that had a lot of furniture. Because I was reading the commentary that it has furniture, it's place furnished, so there were a lot of beddings and a lot of very nice stuff there that could accommodate himself and his boys. And so if Jesus were to come to town, if Jesus was to hold that same party right now in our homes, we have a space in a house that can seat 13 people conveniently and will not be disturbed. That tells you the level of prosperity that we're entering into. So then there's nothing wrong in being rich. Because there are certain responsibilities that only rich people can meet. Let's not deceive ourselves. There are some things that it's only rich people that can do them. Are we right? When it came for them to request for the body of Jesus, it was a powerful Christian that could do that. Not a prayer warrior. So it's good to pray, but there is also the place of having resources. I just thought to mention that. Let's come here. Is anybody speaking here? No comment? All right.
So, a major theme in my personal study these days is no other. It says, I declare the end from the beginning, and from ancient times, things not yet done. So, what actually stuns me in this verse is Jesus just showing not just foreknowledge, but also deep understanding of what people are going to do. So if you look here, he says, go and meet somebody, tell him this, he will say that to you, and he will take you to so and so place. So it shows that even the willing of people is under the purview of God's control. And it's a very similar thing we studied, I think, 2 weeks ago, when they're talking about the donkey, you know. So that's something that just shows you how far-reaching God actually has control over the things of the world. For some people, that's cause to worry, you know, like a lot. But for people who are within His grace and within His love, that gives you so much comfort, because you know that no matter what's happening in your life and how it's unfolding, that God has His hands on the string, you know, and things are going to work out for good for you. Another thing that kind of like stands out here very, very deeply to me, and it appeals to another thing that I've been thinking about of late, is how Satan entered into Judas, and he couldn't be saved, and Satan tempted Peter, and God used that for our good. I think it's very important for us to not take for granted.
Are you saying that he didn't use Judas for good?
What was for good, but maybe not for Judas is good, but for our good, you know. But I think it's very important for us to not take for granted where we are in Christ, you know, because you're saved and you're in this place of rest and comfort. It's very important that you should know that you have to bear fruit and you have to be steadfast, because you can be Judas, you can be Peter. I think it's very important to just be aware of that and constantly pray about your faith.
Now that you've talked about that, I think I would just want to maybe jump the gun, and because one of the things I want to talk about. But now that you mentioned it, I want to speak at it in the sense that, so it's not that Satan will not attempt to enter us. So I don't think it was only Judas that he tried to enter. He would have tried everybody. But it was Judas that had access. He only had access in Judas. And what can give him access in Judas? And he didn't have the same access in Peter. In the case of Peter, he didn't enter him. He desired to have him. But in the case of Judas, he entered the guy. He just entered the guy. Now, he can only enter something that is open. You understand? It is when there is open man, bitterness, envy, greed. We're teaching about those things that are negative that I just mentioned. This is how you see the realm of the spirit. You know, I've said it before and I'll explain again that when you carry excrement on your body, you know, let's say excrement is actually portion. You carry shit. Excreta. So you're smelling, you're filthy. So filthiness attracts flies. And demons are the spiritual equivalent of flies. That's why Beelzebub is called the Lord of the Flies. You understand? So the king of demons is actually the Lord of the Flies. So when you have those bitter envy and malice and all those things in your heart, your evil multiplies there and Satan has access. So it is when there's excrement and all those kind of things, flies congregates and they begin to. So it takes that within you for Satan to have access into your life. It is very, very important. You know, there's this software that you use to download movies. So I was asking them, how does it work? It's okay if you have the software on your computer, and another person has the software on your computer. As long as you have that movie on your computer and you're on the internet, they can have access to it. I don't know the name of the software. Huh? Torrent. Is it Torrent? Yeah. So on campus, once you have a computer and your computer is on the internet, if somebody is searching for that movie and it's on your computer, they will download it to their home. So there are certain things you have them inside you. You'll be available for Satan to upload or install or download stuff in the other side. It was like that. So you just plug into Satan's network. And once you're on that network, it can either enter you anyhow. Very, very important there that we take note of that. So let me come to my wife. Precious, what is that one thing you want to share with us? I know you have your note full, but just tell us one.
I think Ella mentioned it from the few first verses, how, the chief priests, they are the custodians of the law of Moses. And one of the commandments says, do not kill. And yet they were seeking how they would, it's just really like bringing it to our own personal life, how to apply that. Basically, we should ensure we are always praying for our hearts, because how they could just miss that, their hearts were already, their conscience had been seared. That's an example of it. For them not to, they were actually seeking how to kill Jesus. And we had Judas. Judas, for me, I think it was greed that gave Satan access, because they exchanged money exchanged hands and all that. So, yeah, those were the few things I got.
Well, what I see here is fulfillment of prophecy about to take place. The old about to give way to the new, the shadow of things to come about to give way to the real thing.
So Passover was like a change of guard.
So it was a change of guard. So these people were celebrating, Passover.
Something that was ending.
Absolutely, by killing an animal. But the real Passover, which is Christ, was about to be killed, about to be crucified. And so everything that happened as a build-up to that was a divine script being played out. So Satan had to enter Judas for everything to happen, because Christ had to be crucified when the Passover lamb was going to be crucified. So it was a divine script playing out all in all. So it was important for the chief priest to not to everything you guys are saying. It was important for everything to play out the way it played out.
So you don't blame the guys.
No, you don't.
I was reading something by John Piper. John Piper is one pastor that I started following lately. And he said God is above sin. God can't sin. Even when you sin in the process of fulfilling His will, He is not a sinner. God is sovereign. You know what it means for God to be sovereign? The queen cannot commit a crime. The queen cannot be arrested. The queen is not immune. She's sovereign. I do different things when you say immune. Like Nigerian president is immune. If you commit a crime in office, he's immune. But when he comes out of office, you need 2 hands. You can strike. But the queen is sovereign. She's above the law. That's how God is. There are certain thoughts. That's why this school, you guys are in school, you are my students. I will teach you. I'm not afraid to take you to some dates. So you can, when you're learning how to swim, you go there, you drink water, you come out. That those of us that are vessels, you will harden his heart. So you see, if God is on your case on the other side, your case is like Judas. Even if you don't want to sin, you don't have a choice. You must sin that sin. You are confused. It's your business. I'm teaching the word of God. It is one of those things you just drink water, just say, God, I love you for just that my name is not Judas, and I was not alive that time. I thank you. That is why this Christianity that you believe, this your faith that you have, you did not believe because you are smart. You believe because it made you understand the thing that was being taught. Because the things of the Spirit can only be discerned by the Spirit. And the discernment is by the help of God. That's why I said He has kept these things from the rich, from the smart of this world, the wise of this world. He said because to them it is foolishness. But to you that you understood, it's not because you are smart. because your eyes were open. He says, seeing they will see and not perceive. Hearing they will hear and understand. So like Pastor Tosin actually hit the nail on the head there by saying, look, guys, let's not blame these guys. The high priests must be the one to condemn the lamb. It was because if you read other accounts, I think maybe next week, it was the said that they should condemn him. That is, you can see add some.
This same thing happened to Jesus when Satan came with those thoughts. There was nothing in Jesus that could incubate Satan, so Satan didn't stay, you know. But because in verse 22 the Bible says that, and truly the Son of Man goeth. It means that the Son of Man will die. That one is Shabbank. Then he now says that as it was, the Son of Man goeth as it was determined. But woe unto that man by whom he is betrayed. So I believe so strongly that, like Chaco said, Judas opened his heart. You mentioned that too. If that greed was not there, Satan would have entered. And if Satan entered, he would have looked for somebody else. I'm sure from one of them. So I don't want to say that Judas was condemned to be destroyed. I don't want to totally say that.
There was something in him that
attracted Satan. And if any other person had that thing, Satan would have also tried. Because I think it was Peter that said it in Acts chapter 5 or so. Ananias and Sapphira. This is why has Satan filled your heart? Why has Satan filled your heart? Because I believe that there's something that is called satanic thoughts. And it can only come when there is greed, offense, bitterness.
It can take roots. It's not that those thoughts don't come.
It can, exactly. It can take roots.
But it doesn't take roots. Yes, because offense can also be that.
Yes.
Offense.
Yes, can be offense, can be bitterness.
You know, and you know, this tie with something that I heard from Pastor Bojo today. Pastor Bojo was saying that even the Word of God was teaching from Matthew 13, and he was saying something I've never heard before. That look, when the Word of God comes to you, that the Word of God needs you to perform. That without you, the Word won't produce. So the Word of God is powerful, but you can render the Word impotent. The same thing too with satanic thoughts. Satanic thoughts by themselves cannot fly without you. So you need to be incubated. That when the Word of God enters a man, a talent in the man can energize that word. You get it? A talent in the man. They say, like in the case of Joseph, when the Word of God came to Joseph, the gift of God in Joseph was the expression to the Word. You know, the gift of interpretation of dreams. He said, the Word of God came to him. The Word of God tried him. Until his Word came, the Word of God tried him. Onto that Word. To ensure that we don't have any of those things in our inside. No bitterness, no offense, no greed, offense particularly, anger, wrath, malice. We don't pay attention to these things, but these things have a way of energizing Satan for us, giving space to the enemy to buffet, to oppress, and to destroy the things that God wants to do in our lives.
You know, like the Bible says we should gather heart
with all diligence, out of these. Now, but this is an opening thought, you know, and you know, when you look at Matthew 22, you begin to see that Jesus was at the verge of something powerful. So it was because the Passover, when the Passover was caught in Egypt, was slain in Egypt, they were at the verge of coming out. So now in this Passover, they were at the verge of entering something new. So you're at the verge of moving, transiting from one point to another. Now, so Jesus at the border of his prophecies, it was at that point where the New Testament was to be activated. So it said, look, you know, symbolically took his blood and the flesh and say, this is the New Testament. You look, it was telling them that look, the new is taking the place of the old. You know, so God was bringing them from Egypt, was bringing them out of Egypt, you know, symbolically, you know, by the Passover that was called in Egypt. So when we are at the verge of Passover or at the verge of anything very powerful, that is when we should be very careful and sensitive. We must be very sensitive. And we must be mindful of the thoughts that come into our hearts. Number one. Number two, we must be careful that at that point in time, thoughts will begin to enter the hearts of those that are around us. Not only your own heart, but the heart of people that are around you. People in your inner circle. People that hate you. People that love you. You know, and the forces of life will begin to mobilize resources and things in your favor. No matter what is happening at that point in time, once you begin to sense that you are the verge of something very powerful. I was telling my wife today that I sense, because even if I was praying, I started sensing since for like 2 weeks that I'm at the verge of something big. I don't know what that is. I sent her messages. I said, please send message to people in church that tell them to pray for me. You know, people would think that maybe something is wrong with me. I said, are you fine? Are you okay? Are you sick? I said, no, I'm fine. I'm good. Are you sure? I said, yes, I'm very fine. Do I look like I have a problem? No, but I'm being sensitive that when you are at the verge of something, the way people think about you is very important. And when you are around someone that is about entering some things, Satan can either use you or God can use you. One of the two. So at that point in time, when something you want to open up to you, satanic thoughts begin to flood that space. Divine thoughts also will begin to flood that space. So very, very important we bear that in mind. So that is my opening thoughts. And if you bear that in mind as you look at these plots, you will see that from the high priest to Jesus himself, to the man that owned the house, and everybody was receiving intelligence and signals. You know, so at times, and I just pity, and really I pity rich people. And I pity, particularly because arrogance is not too far from rich people. If you have money, be very careful. You are actually walking on the edge of arrogance. Riches brings you to the edge of arrogance. You know, so and at times, if you're not the man of the spirit, your money can begin to rule you. And when God is positioning you to do some things for him, I don't think that rich man was the only person in town, but it was the one that connected to the thought of God for that season. So it's very, very important that we bear that in mind. And, okay.
You know, I wanted to also say that in that account, we saw Jesus again operating in the word of knowledge where he knew when Jesus gives instruction, or when God gives us instruction.
You're jumping the gun.
Okay.
Let's not jump the gun there. I want us to talk about Jesus as the Passover lamb. You were trying to say something last week about Jesus being crucified on a Friday, but he was actually crucified on a Wednesday. This account happened on a Tuesday, so based on the calendar, and it was in the month of April. So in the month of April, because the Bible, I don't want us to open to Leviticus and see all of those scriptures, but these dates were fixed. Now there are two Sabbaths. There are two Sabbaths in scriptures. There is the Sabbath that happens every week, which is the Sabbath that happens on Saturday. Then there is the Sabbath that happens on first day of Passover. In particular, that's they were preparing for Passover. So Passover was the next day. So on that day that Jesus was crucified was also I hope I'm not mixing it up. Jesus was crucified a day before Passover, a day before the Sabbath. You understand? So the Monday, the Tuesday that we're talking about, Jesus was crucified on a Wednesday. The Thursday of that week was a Passover. Because the day after the Passover lamb is slain is a Sabbath. So when the Bible now said that Jesus resurrected a day after Sabbath, most people just assume that he was crucified on Friday. If you calculate it between Friday and Sunday, it's not 3 days and 3 nights. It's on the way the night between Friday and Saturday morning. You can't have it. Because you just calculate like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But he rose up, he came out of the grave very early on Sunday morning. 3 days and 3 nights. It's a day and a night. It's a day, the day starts by 6 a.m. and ends by 6 p.m. The night starts by 6 p.m. and ends by 6 a.m. Do you get it? So you have to calculate it like that. So you have to have that number of 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., like 3 times upon themselves. When you calculate it from Wednesday, it's correct. And because if you look at the account, because God told them in Leviticus that day after the Passover lamb has been slain should be observed as the Sabbath. But so we have the Sabbath of weeks, then Sabbath of Passover. So the Sabbath of weeks is the Sabbath that happens every 7 days. So we should not mix that up when we begin to look at the account here of Jesus being the Passover lamb. So, but it's very interesting that based on the calendar, the crucifixion of Jesus Christ tallied with the celebration of Passover. That was not a mistake. You know, because you hear pastors tell you that you don't mind the calendar. You don't mind the chronos, mind the kairos. You know, the chronos is the calendar time. That don't mind the, there are times where you need to mind the calendar. Did you get that?
Yeah. Jesus had the understanding of the calendar also.
Yeah.
Because I remember when he was going to Jerusalem, he said, let's go there. That's the next place to go to. So I think he was mindful of the calendar.
Yeah, particularly when the kairos and the chronos aligns. When there's an alignment between the chronos and the kairos. So in the case of the prophecy of Jesus Christ, that was the point where the calendar shows that he had come to the reason for that season. It's very interesting when a particular season is your season. So it's not a season can come and that season is your season. Maybe Easter or maybe Christmas, maybe a new year. A new year can dawn and that new year is your own new year also. It's being sensitive. So because when the calendar is working in line with what God has in stock for you, you must begin to be careful the kind of things, like I said earlier, the kind of things you allow to enter your heart. And also the kind of thoughts that enters into the heart of men concerning you, the heart of Satan concerning you, the heart of angels concerning you. Very, 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 very important. Because that is when people begin to say, okay, I can't get you out of my mind. Have you received a phone call or a message and somebody said that? I've been thinking about you and I can't get you out of my mind. Or maybe when somebody is thinking about you, then you also thought about them, you not call them. And then I say, oh, I was just thinking about you. Can you send your account number? Something interesting happened yesterday. Very interesting. There's this pastor that God told me in January that I should try and see how I can start relating with him and try to bring him to church. He's a very powerful senior man of God. Who is going to introduce me to him? So I didn't try to talk to any of people that I knew that could do that. So I just destroyed it. But I knew God spoke to me, I just left it. So recently I was in Lagos for an event, and he was there. And it so happened that they put my seat close to where I was sitting, so I was sitting to the table next to his own. So because I was sitting very close to him and all the other powerful people that were there, I started now at the liver to chat with him. We talked, and so we exchanged numbers. So I tried to send him a message the very next day, expressing my desires, that this is what I want, and all. He didn't say anything. Typical of rich, powerful men of God, you just leave them. So yesterday, my wife just told me that, by the way, that I dreamt that this person came to our house. He came to our house. I immediately sent him a message. Good afternoon, sir. I'm just greeting you. In a reply, I've been thinking about you all day. I didn't remember your name. But I knew you sent me a message. I've searched everywhere for it. I didn't save your number. I didn't save your name. All day I've been thinking about you. I said, really? I said, yeah. Now this is, see, it was my wife that told me that she dreamt that you came to our house. I said, really? Now, we've been talking since then. Even this evening, he sent me a message, okay, please arrange, so this is how we're going to call this person. So I'm going to be seeing him next week. What I'm trying to tell you is that when the season for something comes, the right people will be thinking about you. Then the people, Satan will also arrange people to start accommodating thoughts to destroy that which God wants to do in your life. I don't know if I get what I'm saying there. So it's very important here that we are mindful of thoughts, because thoughts are very, very powerful. And there are times where we begin to, when some things begin to happen, when we're in that season, and they look to be good on the outside, don't fight. P-Fans, I feel that you should speak at this point.
Well, maybe I'll just speak up from what he's just said now. That's place of sensitivity, how it's very important, because, again, when seasons begin to happen on us, yes, that's the word. When season begins to happen on us, like rightly said, sir, the right thoughts will enter into the heart of certain people, the wrong thoughts will enter into the heart of certain people. But if we're not sensitive, we will fight some people we're not supposed to fight.
Yep.
Because in actual sense, the wrong thoughts entering their heart is orchestrated by God to push us into what we're supposed to enter into. And so somebody that normally would have done you good would react against you in certain ways. Maybe you are even at your
I think we should couch it this way. The right thoughts will enter into their hearts, but the effect might be wrong. Because what Judas thought was right. He was playing as part of the script. So somebody need to betray Jesus. So betraying Jesus was part of the script. That was the right chord. He was eating the right chord in that orchestra. It's like a play. He was running his part. So he was a character. He was saying the right words. He was taking the right steps based on the script. So it was not wrong. That was the right thought. He had to do that. He had to speak. So it was right, but the effect to you might be wrong. If you look at it in the flesh, you would think it's wrong, but it's actually right. That is why if you get a quit notice, you lose your job, or you have a car wreck, it doesn't mean that something is wrong. You need to pull back from that, all of those things, and you say, all things work together for good to them that love God, them that are called according to his purpose. You know, and as I was thinking about this thing, I remember when we were going to move from Lobito to Discovery Mall, the chairman of the company that had never spoken with me for 4 years, I had never seen him before. He called for a meeting and asked us to leave. We were begging him. He said, no, we should leave. So we started praying against it. We started begging him, no, you can't bind that kind of thought. You couldn't bind it. So they threw us on a Saturday. On a Saturday afternoon, they even gave us another place to use. When we got there, they said we can't even use the place they gave us to use. On a Saturday afternoon, they threw us out. We became facility-less because we're still a church. So and then the other place opened up, and then this other place opened up and if you don't take some steps, let me tell you something. When we moved from town to this place, our children's church maybe is tops 80 people, 60 children, 200 people now on Sundays, less than 6 in a month. So when God is trying to move you, the quick notice that you got, or that you didn't get some job openings. Say, I don't like your face. Get out of this place. Now you're going to wonder that, what did you do wrong? No, you didn't do anything wrong. All things are just working together for your good. So it's very, very important. Those are the lessons that we need to draw from it.
It's, those disappointments are most times redirection. There's something you're looking at. Sometimes you can be focused on the wrong thing. When these things begin to happen on the outside, if you're not very spiritual and sensitive, you won't pause like the church did to look at what is God trying to do. Because if you look at what man is trying to do, you might be frustrated and you can by yourself sabotage the entire process. So I think that if you focus on what God is trying to do, you would not even hold it against the person who did what they did. In fact, you would sow a seed. You would celebrate that person. Because if you didn't do that, I would still be here. So thank you for... That should even... If there was a problem between the both of you, that should even bring some kind of reconciliation.
No, just like what happened to Joseph when his brothers led him into slavery. Now, and when they came, they thought all of us, no, look, forget it. Because we don't need to wait until 25 years to behave like that. While they are doing it, your attitude should be that all things work together for good for those that love God and to them that are called according to this purpose. So we should not fight anyone that appears to be against us because they might just be working together for good. Now when you, but I want us to look at the issue of Satan entering. Please, Pastor, come on. Let's go. I want us to look at. Is that your wife? Let's go. We have to honor men of God. Let's go. Now, I want us to look at the aspect of where Satan entering Judas. Now, not in the light of all we've looked at. We've exhausted that. But I want us to look at it from this standpoint where that the impact of that entrance, when he entered him, it turned him from Jesus. Then if you, I think we should look at that. Then Satan entered Satan into Judas, son named Iscariot, being of number of the 12, and he went his way. When Satan enters you, you go your way. Because Jesus is the way.
Yeah.
But when Satan entered him, he just left the way and went his own way. Be careful the way you are walking. Because your way might not be the way. Make sure that your way is the way. That in the way. Because when he started walking on his own way, he started communing with the wrong people. One of the ways to check your way, you check the people you are communing with. That's why I said they did not stand, you don't sit. So he started communing with the wrong people, the chief priests and captains, and how he might betray Jesus, and they were glad, and they covenanted. He now entered the covenant. You see, when Satan enters you, you start entering some illegal agreement, you start taking some steps, you shock yourself. You start making money illegally. Money is becoming a problem. How can you be with Jesus and your problem is money? Someone that asks them to go to the river and brought a fish, how can you leave the man that fed 5,000 people? But because the impact of satanic entrance takes you from the way and you start doing things your own way. Say, this is the way I want to do it. Always check that way if it is in line with the word of God.
The way that seems right.
There's a way that seems right until
at the end. Yeah. So I think that we have to be careful. We have to always, when you read the Bible sometimes, I don't know how other people read the Bible. When I read the Bible, I put myself in that place. I don't want to look at Judas and crucify him. Is what I'm thinking, is it in line
with the word?
With the word. Because I believe that one of the ways to know that Satan has entered is that your thought is contrary to the word. That's one way to just know that Satan is this thing. Is that you're beginning, the things that used to make spiritual sense to you don't make sense anymore. You have another idea about the same thing.
you also lose the sense of value. You know, there was this thing that I said in one of the snippets, that I sold Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. Your sense of value become corrupted. How can you value Jesus? So they now came and told you that you should, now you see, when Satan enters you, you are willing to give up Jesus for money, for sex. Then you just come and do, he will give you 2 million. That is, you are willing, your propensity to compromise will be very, very high. Because it takes a warped sense, even if, you know, he said the Lion of the tribe of Judah. You're selling the Lion of the tribe of Judah for 30 pieces of silver. Even ordinary lion can be sold for 30 pieces of silver. Then you're not selling the Lion of the tribe of Judah. You know, so it's very important here that now there are certain thoughts and actions that are enhanced by the devil. It's called the workings of the spirit of disobedience. You know, the Bible is in Ephesians there. I think we should look at that. Ephesians 2. It said there, it said, we are in tempers who work according to the cause of this world. Verse 2. According to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. So there is a spirit that when it enters you, it makes you to disobey everything that typically you will not want to disobey. You know, and that's what happened to Satan, and it turns him from the path of life and the way of peace to the path of greed, and also led him to ride the wrong people. You know, led him to the wrong company of people. Started hanging around the people, the wrong people. Started loving the wrong things. Started putting money before God, and even trying to make some extra cash. And you need to check the way you make money. One of the ways to know if you are with God or from God, one of the litmus tests to check if you are still in the faith is how do you make money. So look at every money in your account. Can you pay tithe on them? Do you understand? Are they titheable? What is the source of your money? So if you got your money from nicotine, from alcohol, from drugs, from prostitution, from runs, from Yahoo, and all this kind of stuff, then you are far from God. If your heart gets to that place where you want to make illegal money, then just check it that you are driving, something has entered you that is driving you far from the way of life. And the other thing, dear pastor, that I want us to look at is very interesting. When Jesus asked them to go to prepare, when he told them to go and prepare, he told them to go and prepare the Passover. So, but they didn't just rush off. Did you observe that?
Yeah. He asked the details. Where would you want? That was in verse 8. Okay.
He said, and he sent Peter and said, go prepare us the Passover that we may eat. And they said unto him,
where we prepare it?
Yeah, so when God tells you to do something, you better ask questions.
Yes.
Because a lot of times, I've been there before, or when something is happening, don't just solve it by, some of us are too forward. There's a problem. Ask questions. How do we solve it? I told a story once of when we were still using the hotel. They called us and said we should come and pack our things from the hotel, from the store, that they give us storage again. So I now started thinking, okay, we're going to buy a bus. We'll use the bus as storage so that we can drive the bus to church and drive back. Okay. I saw a bus. We went to buy the bus. Paid. So it was after they brought the bus, we now realized that we can't keep anything in the bus. The heat will spoil it. Wrong idea. Spent like 400K to buy it. Gone. We now want to tell them that. They say, oh, sorry, we have another place for you. That was bigger. God had created a bigger space for us on the other side of the road by telling them to chase us from the small place. So we moved there, bigger, more spacious. From that day, I learned that anytime there's a problem, or God tells you to do something, you ask him questions. Don't just rush off. Just imagine they just started rushing. Oh, by the way, oh God. Now you know we should probably pass over. Hey, you know, call your wife. Say, you know, you need to just calm down. Listen in your spirit for clear instructions.
You know, it was Peter and John that was sent to do this.
You are the senior boys.
You know, there's something about experience with God. This was the end of Jesus, and he was getting. The next day, he was killed. I believe the next day.
The next day
he was killed.
Yeah.
So they walked with Jesus for a while, so they understood that if Jesus gives you instruction, you must relax. Don't be in a hurry. Don't rush. Hear him out. He knows what he wants to do. You know,
because he asked them before that, how do we feed these people?
Exactly.
They started calculating. Say we will bring like 250,000.
So experience, I've taught them. So I think that even for younger Christians, there's some sacrifice you don't need to make. There's some sweat you don't need to go through. Just learn from those who have gone ahead of you to know that when Jesus says, go, you perch. You don't even bother yourself. You just relax. He'll be looking at you. You're not going to say relax. Jesus, where? When? How? You know, when you do that, you know, Jesus knows that this one has learned. But if you run like the young boys, when you get to the bus stop, you don't realize that Jesus, he didn't tell me whether I should enter Gaki or enter Ose. You know, so I think that we must be careful to hear this. And then the other thing that I noticed about this instruction is that it didn't make sense. You say you see a man bearing pictures. Men don't carry pictures. In Israel, men don't carry that. So when the instruction might not even make sense. Because you can say, Jesus, how can a man be? You can be arguing with Jesus. Instructions are not to be debated on. Instructions are meant to be obeyed. It doesn't have to make any sense. You know,
it's like computer. I don't know if you took computer programming. I took Fortran. You know, Fortran. Those instructions don't make sense. Go to. So, and if you don't write it like that, your program won't run. Do you understand? So, it doesn't have to make grammatical sense. It must make programming language. So, go. Because he told them that when you enter into the city, so he tells them that it's at the city gate. He tells you that it's at the city gate, you're going to see the guy. Now, the one thing that I heard some years ago, which I want to also bring here, is that be careful of the people you follow. When you get to a place where a lot of people, because at the city gate you see a lot of people, but there is a mark on the person you do. That is why you don't go to every church. You must go to the one that you are sent to be. He was telling me last week that feed my sheep. The ones it's not everybody that is sent to me. There are some that are just visiting. There are some that are just saying, well, wow. But the ones that God has given to you, that He has sent to you, so pastors look out for people they are sent. Then the saint look out for the pastor to whom they are sent. Because the person to whom you are sent will lead you to the place that has been prepared. Be careful the person you follow. And one of the marks that you see in the person you follow is that they must carry something in their spirit. They must carry water. They must carry water to quench your thirst. They must carry water to grow you. They must be able to water your soul. So it's not when you come, it was the pastor that was saying that, look, and also for girls, for ladies, don't just marry anybody. Marry a man that's carrying something in his spirit. Don't marry cow. Don't marry cow. Car gets, they steal cars. Don't marry car. Don't marry location. I live in Kalmajisi. Where's that? What's that? Don't marry address. You see, it's a Gary Keys to God forbid. I don't stay in that kind of place. Oga, you will go to hell. not like really hell, but like you go into hellfire on earth. So don't just follow anybody. Don't just look for a man that is carrying something in his spirit. Because water there symbolizes that thing that flows from within them shall flow rivers of living waters. That man that has spiritual capacity, that's, like one of our brothers was saying here, the wife, they went to the hospital, the baby was like this. Say, no problem. Doctor, we're coming tomorrow. When she was later, I said, baby, turn. They went back, say, it's fine now. That's the kind of man to marry you. And he's not happy. When the man asks, it's better. You enjoy both spiritual and guys, please also so you can have. Praise God. So it's very, very important that we don't get carried away. We allow ourselves to be led by the Spirit, and we follow the right people, and we be followers of those who through faith and patience obtain the promise. And you will see here also that all of this, we can't talk about this without talking about the communion table and also the New Testament in His blood. So Jesus here was instituting the communion for us. We're going to be having a communion tonight, and the communion of bread and wine in the place. So the communion was replacing the ceremony of the communion was replacing the Passover, because He had now become the Passover lamb, and He now said His body was symbolized by the bread and His blood by the wine, and it's important for us to begin to see here that we don't have to wait until once a year to do this. We do it as often as we do that in remembrance of Him. So we are not supposed to actually forget it. We can do it every day. You can do it every week. And anytime anything is not agreeing with covenant in your life, you can just bring forth bread and wine, and you allow that to speak to that. So it's not just symbolic what He was doing. It was not just that He was just taking bread and wine. He was instituting something spiritual. I think it was Paul that was later making reference to that when he said what they were doing.
You remember those, brings back those memory and energizes you to become a better person. So you can do it as often as possible.
It actually releases the same power. The same power that was available when that event happened is also available anytime you stir the covenant. The same power. The same power. And that was what happened when Paul was in the height of the storm. When he was in the height of the storm, he served communion. He served communion when Paul went before the shipwreck. I want to okay, it's Acts 27. Let's look at it's very important to look at that. Acts 27. He said, and when verse 35, he said, and when he had thus spoken. Okay, no, I think we should read verse from 33. He said, and while the day was coming on, Paul besought them all to take meat, saying, this day is the 14th day that you have tarried and continued fasting, having taken nothing. Therefore I pray you to take some meat, for it is for your health. For there shall not an hair fall from the head of any of you. And when he had thus spoken, he took bread and gave thanks to God in the presence of them all. And when he had broken it, he began to eat. Now, that was not just ordinary bread. That was Paul breaking the communion. He was there saying that as I break this bread, nobody's body will be broken in the ship. Because the ship was broken. If you read to the end, the ship was broken, but nobody's body was broken. Nobody's head fell off. So he released a word of prophecy. This is a declaration of faith. He said, nobody will die here. But Paul knew that something bad was coming. He carried the bread and broke it. When the thing hit them, everything was lost. The ship wrecked. The boat broke. Just imagine you're inside a plane. The plane hit the ground. Everything scattered, but nobody died. Like it happened to some pastors that were traveling the other day in South America. They were flying, their plane hit the ground, broke in two, they all came out. That is what happens when you provoke the testament by carrying the covenant. That's why when we come to this table tonight, if there is anything in your body that is not working well, as they come to the table, it is fixed by the power in the Lord. You know, it's very, very important that we don't just see it as something symbolic. It is the power of God being clearly demonstrated there. Now, then you will see something that in the midst of all of this, while Jesus was saying this, that the strife was in their heart. You know, so they're asking, arguing, who is the greatest? And it was strife. What does that tell you? That tells you that when you allow strife in your heart, it disconnects you from the flow of the Spirit. Strife will not make you to understand when God is moving. You will be in church, but because you have strife in you, you are disconnected from the Rhema. You can't get a Rhema word with strife in your heart. Jesus was showing them the most powerful, that this is the New Testament. They're like, who is the greatest? Who is the greatest of us? Come on, are you guys blind? I'm showing you kingdom. Look, you guys are going to sit on thrones. You don't need to compete with yourselves. Everybody will have their throne. You're all kings. All of you are going to sit on thrones, judging the 12 tribes of the nation. What are you talking about? We're talking about, I'm showing you kingdom, I'm showing you things to come. You're worried about who should be the biggest. Or you hear that somebody just promoted in your office, all that, because you have to be very careful when some things happen to your neighbors, it doesn't happen to you. You don't allow strife. You don't allow bitterness in your heart. Because if something happens to people, it didn't happen to you, maybe your own time has not come. Because the way you respond, because they were wondering that, so who will now be best? So you mean that this man can be elevated above me? Don't you know that I've been in this job before him? Why can't he just come now and then now say he's your guy? For what? He can't work like that. This one that is even younger than me, he's just here in this kingdom, this service. We have to be mindful of the fact that greatness in this kingdom is service. So you can occupy the front chair in church here in Abuja, but you have nothing to have to your name when you get to glory. So Jesus said, don't focus on the things that you can enter into in time. Focus rather on the things that will be yours in the world to come. So do not allow yourself to be distracted by the mundane things of life, but rather be fixated on service to God and the things that service to God can open you up to in the world to come. And finally, I think we should just round up by looking at when he was telling Peter that he was going to betray him, and Peter was there arguing that was not going to happen.
What I like about Jesus is the fact that he looked beyond the fall, the mistake of Peter. He saw the mistake, but I'm sure he was looking at the restoration. You know, so for me that is instructive because. No,
before we look at the restoration, let's look at the attitude of Peter here. Yeah, he was going to. Satan wanted to have him, but of course, as long as his faith was intact, he was going to overcome that. But it was like, no, he won't. And Jesus told him that you would betray me, you would deny me 3 times. And the guy was like, no, I'm going to die with you. Now, I think what should be very instructive there, that when the things of the Spirit cannot be done in the energy of the flesh. Yeah. You can't, it's not by determination or New Year resolution. So this year, 2018,
my power is not by might.
Not by power, not by might. See, I'm not going to smoke, I will not womanize, I will not pornography, I will not watch pornographic sites, I will not club. It's not by power, not by might. It's for you to yield yourself to the Holy Spirit. So if there's something that confronts you, or something that you say, okay, I'm not going to do this, and the thing hits you back, you need to yield to God. Because you begin to see later on that started telling that you should pray lest they fall into temptation. So if it is it's when you come to the place of prayer and you connect the grace of God, then you receive the energy to overcome the temptation. Because it was also Jesus' temptation. They were all going to be tempted. Jesus and his boys. But just that the boys didn't enter into it because they were in flesh. So, and once you are in the flesh, you can have desire for spiritual things. But as long as you are in the flesh, you cannot execute it. Praise the name of the Lord. All right, let's take one question or two. Take your question. All right. Both right?
Yes, both.
All right.
So you talked about
Bring the mic to him.
Vessels unto honor, vessels unto dishonor.
No, I didn't say vessel. I said vessel of mercy and vessel of wrath.
Okay, wrath.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want me to show you the scriptures?
No, it's okay. That should be like Judas, Pharaoh, Esau.
Yeah, Esau, yeah.
Okay. Now, my question is, how does that play out in the New Testament? You know, Scripture talks about that God desires that all men be saved, all men come to repentance. So, how do we relate that to the New Testament? Are there still people like that are marked me from birth that this was they're gone?
I think this same question that we asked before. I said Jesus has been crucified. There's no need for any betrayal. Jacob has come. Esau is not dead again. So there's nobody that has been set aside to do any of the dirty jobs. Again, there's no covenant that you understand. So everybody. But having said that, I also want to say that not everybody you see on the face of the earth as a human being. I hope you know that. Some people came from the graveyard. So it's not every human being there's a human. So my angels, so my demons in parading, because anything angels can do, fallen angels can also do. You understand? Because Jesus also told us that, look, the end time, you have the wheat and you have the tares. He said the wheat are the children of the kingdom. The tares are the kingdom of this world. You cannot change a tear to a wheat. There are wheat human beings, there are tares human beings. The wheat will be burnt. So now say, how do we know? We are preaching. The wheat will respond. The tares won't. It is by preaching. Those that have been ordained will come. Is that okay? So, but the fact that you are here, you are not a wheat. So if you are in the church, God does not need any Judas again to betray Jesus. But if you allow greed in your heart, you can betray your own Jesus by yourself. But it is not to fulfill any will of God. It's for you to come out of the program of God for your own life. Like I was saying last week, that not that Jesus is going to come tomorrow. Pastor not told us that Jesus can come for you today or tomorrow. Is that okay? So but there are some of those heavy stuff that we are just for our information. Have you said for your information, not for your action. For your reaction. For your information.
Thanks, sir. So, as a Christian, is it right to give tips? Maybe you have someone who is supposed to move your fire to where it's going to be treated. And
is it a bribe?
Well, tips, bribe.
Is it a bribe? You want to call it? Okay, because tips, when you go to a restaurant to eat, when you go to a restaurant to eat, and they serve you the food, you finish eating, they bring your bill. They say your bill is 6,000. If you go to a standard restaurant, they bring it in a file, a folder. When you are done eating and you pay, you can now put something extra as a tip. That's a tip. After they've served you, you now give them, say thank you. That's a tip. Or you go to cut your hair. Like if you go and buy a banana, for example, don't collect change. Just okay, don't worry, take it. And don't price those things. Don't price them too much. Madam. All right, you can price. But you go and cut your hair, and you can see the price that the thing is 500. You now say, okay, for the guy, that extra carving, you give the guy 200. That's a tip. Understand? So tip is
or even after the file has been moved. After the file has been moved. Oh, thank you. That's it.
So not that before the file is moved.
Not to encourage.
That's a bribe. So let's say you
encourage the
prof. No. Objection. Wait. What is that?
Sir, in this Abuja, you are going nowhere.
Yeah, I know.
If you first get to the place, before you even tell them your
You first give them money for mineral.
people, have you eaten? Please go and eat. Your file will fly to the direction you did.
Okay.
Before they even know.
Okay. What you are saying is different. So as you arrive at the place, say, my people, what are you people doing here? Okay. Have you eaten? Say no, how can we eat? Okay. All right, but I know people who have businesses, and you just have to be friendly with the people that are around there and all. Like the other day I was driving out, some police officers told me, "So we don't have petrol in our car." I said, "Okay, take money for petrol. That's not a bribe. It's not a bribe, So, but if they come and tell you that if we are going for us to move this file, you don't give us 5,000, we're not moving it. Let them not move the file. You understand? But if you gave them that 5,000 as they are demanding for you to give them that 5,000 before they move your file, you understand? That's a bribe. You get. But there's nothing wrong in appreciating people. But when I was working, when the few months I was at the EFCC, in our office then, when Ribadu was our chairman, we don't collect appreciation. You don't say thank you to anybody there. You can say thank you verbally, not with money or envelope or anything. If you do it, it is called bribe in our own EFCC, in our own office. Because that time, we wanted to set an example of a new Nigeria. So we have, culture as mixed with corruption in Nigeria. We have a culture of helping ourselves. So, but you have to be very, very, you have to be led of the Spirit and all that. But don't give bribe. But if your conscience tells you you are giving bribe, don't give. But if your conscience is dead, it may not tell you. I don't know if I answered your question. Praise God.
Good evening, church. I'd like us to please put together our offering very quickly. If you need an envelope, just wave where you are seated. The ushers are going around to put one in your hand. While we put together our offering, just a few announcements. Our service continues on Sunday. We are back here again. 2 services, 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. We start prayers by 6:30 a.m. So please invite your friends and let's have a wonderful time in God's presence together. Next week, Friday, is going to be our worship concert for the month of June. Somebody excited? It's going to be holding here by 6 p.m. next week, Friday. That's the 15th of June, not tomorrow, 15th of June. I know the choir is really ready to lead us into the presence of God. And also tomorrow, by 6 p.m., all the pregnant women, we are having a meeting. Praise the Lord. So if you're a pregnant woman, maybe you don't know, maybe you're finding out tonight, or you want to be pregnant. Tomorrow by 6 p.m., please come around and we'll have a great time. All right, if you're ready with your offering, I'd like to just lift it up as we pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you this evening for the privilege you've given us to bring our offering, our tithes to you tonight. We ask that you receive them. Let them come up to you as a sweet-smelling savor. Let us return to us in a harvest of things money can buy and of things money cannot buy. In Jesus' precious name. Amen. Praise the Lord. Let's welcome Pastor. Sorry, before I leave, is there anybody worshiping with us for the first time? I forgot to do this. Today is your first day of worship with us here at Holy Hill Church. Anybody like that? Can you please stand to your feet in a minute? Anybody like that? Today is your first day of worship with us here at Holy Hill Church. Anybody? Okay, all right then. Okay, I see a hand at the back. All right, God bless you. Thank you for coming. You're welcome to Holy Hill Church. Immediately after we close the service now, you can just come forward briefly. Somebody will meet with you. They will give you a card now. Help us fill it. We want to stay in touch with you. And they'll put a gift in your hand, tell you more about the church. God bless you. Thank you for coming. Let's welcome Pastor.
Praise God. Let's stretch our hands towards the communion table tonight. Jesus, we thank you for that which you did for us. And tonight we study where and why, and you instituted the New Testament in your blood, and you asked us to always partake of this in remembrance of you. And as we do this tonight, that very presence in that room, when you were with your disciples, the original 12, let it be strong in this place tonight. Let your very presence envelope this place tonight. As your sons and your daughters approach this table, let every form of reproach be rolled away. Let the pain on the right side of the face be healed tonight. Let that back pain be healed tonight. Let that difficulty in breathing be healed tonight. That skin disease be healed tonight. Let your blood speak. Your blood that speaks better things than the blood of Abel. Let it speak tonight in this place like never before. Thank you, Abba Father. In Jesus' name.
Hosanna in the highest. Let our King be lifted high. Hosanna
service tonight. Blessed be your holy name. Hallelujah. Amen. Praise God. Praise God. So we're back again on Sunday. 2 services. 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. We'll be praying from 6:30 to 7 o'clock. The 6:55. I want to ask that all workers. So that prayer meeting is actually workers' prayer meeting. If